All right, we're back with another highly requested call review session, but this time we're going to be reviewing something different. This call is for a business acquisition offer, meaning the prospect does not want to build a business from scratch. They want to purchase an entire existing business, which means that the prospect is going to be a little more sophisticated than a classic B2C, but it's still, I would categorize it as a B2C offer. So in this video, we're going to do two things. First, we're going to psychologically profile this prospect so that we can figure out exactly how to sell them step by step, going with the way that they think instead of going against it, in order to make this an absolute lay down sale through the adaptive selling system. And second, you're going to watch exactly how a 100K a month closer would approach his call, his thought process, his questions, and specific moments that actually made the difference, and precise places where he would have dug deeper that would have closed his deal on the first call instead of just walking away with a think about it. So let's get into it. Sweet. Can you guys see this?
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. All right. What do we want to take a look at, Al? Anything in particular?
Let's see. Right after, just the beginning would be good.
Okay. Just like the opening and intro, first bit of discovery?
Yeah, opening, intro. See if we can maybe call out some of the stuff that is holding this guy back.
Okay. Very cool. Let me take a look through just the quick key takeaways, topics I overall know. So there's the offer, yada, 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 decision, selling house, use the proceeds to fund the tuition, secure financial move, career stagnation. Okay, cool. Let's take a look.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. Yeah, how about yourself?
Yes,
I'm doing well.
Oh, good. Yeah. Good. Whereabouts in the U.S. are you calling from?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. All right. I'm in Washington State myself.
Okay.
So a few states away.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw you booked a call to learn about business acquisition. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I'll share with you how these calls normally go, if that's okay with you, and then we can dive right in.
Perfect.
Couple things so far. Let's start with the good things. People come off mute. Peanut gallery. What's Al doing well so far?
Not too much beat, just diving right into it.
Very good. What else?
Easy tonality, easy to talk to.
Yeah, very much so agree. Anything else? I agree with those two. I think that's pretty spot on. Al, so far, let's look at this. Couple of things. So where about in the U.S. are you calling from? That's fine. Minnesota. I'm in Washington State myself, so just a few states away. I feel like it's fine. If you're going to bring up where you are or ask where somebody else is, I find that it can be helpful to either A, just do it for the sake of curiosity and then very much so just move on as soon as they say or as soon as you say, or very much so have a reason for it. So for me, I'll ask something like, whereabouts in the world are you? I say he says he's in Minnesota. It's like, oh, fantastic. How long you been there? Do you like it there? What do you like about it? Is there anything you would change about it if you could? I've never been to Minnesota myself. Should I visit? Anything like that? And then now, you're already having a little bit of small talk. You're having a bit of back and forth, and then you can talk about where you're from or whatever. But either really lean into it or really don't, I'd say. But this little, so a few states away just kind of feels a little bit extra. And I say that for a very specific reason. So if you are to do this and you're going to just move on, just say, where about in the U.S. are you calling from? Minnesota. Cool. I'm in Washington State myself. Looks like you booked in a call, and you just move onward. If you're just going to pass on, just pass on. But if you're going to do it for a good reason. Now, when you said, I saw you booked in a call to learn about business acquisition, you're already setting the frame. Whether you realize it or not, every single thing that you communicate sets a frame for what's to come. And so with you saying, booked a call to learn about business acquisition, do you see what's potentially wrong with that? I saw you booked a call to learn about business acquisition.
Yeah, I feel like it's just opening it up to not actually making a decision. It's just learning about it.
Exactly. So I would just take that out entirely.
Okay.
Yeah. If you say it, then frame what you want the call to be about generally. But you're already doing it here, so let's see how you frame.
Yeah, I'll share with you how these calls normally go, if that's okay with you, and then right in.
Perfect.
Yeah, so the point of the call is for me to put you in a better spot than I found you, and I'll be asking very similar questions that business owners ask, and then after that, I'll walk you through what it's going to look like to acquire a business in 5 to 8 months. Okay. And then if for some reason it's just not in the cards, I'll just point you in the best direction.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, Dan, for you, I guess, what do you?
Okay, cool. What do you think about that frame, Al?
It's the one I've been using. I think it's pretty good. They know that I'm there to put them in a better place. So, and then I do ask very similar questions that business owners ask, why are they here? what's their why do they want to keep the business running kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they know what they're looking forward to the next 5 to 8 months, and then also kind of giving them an out, like, hey, this may not be for everybody.
Okay, solid. I think what you just said is far better than what you said on the call, personally. What you just said was damn near perfect. Like, I'm just here to give you value. Even if that's not working with us, I'll point you in a better direction if you need it. But want to know where you're at, what you want, all that kind of fun stuff. Like, what you just said was great. What you said here, you said, so the point of the call for me, you, Al, the salesperson, is to put you in a better spot than I found you. It's like, not bad. And like, I'll be asking very similar questions of businesses. And then after that, I'll walk you through what it's going to look like to acquire a business in 5 to 8 months. You didn't really, you kind of said what to expect a minute ago when you were talking through it, but I feel like you said it better than here. And then if for some reason it's just not in the cards, then I'll just point you in the best direction. Rather than like, if this isn't for you, then I'll point you in a better direction. Like, or if we're not in alignment, then I'll walk you through a better direction, something like that. So I would say when you're perfectly relaxed and like you're here on a call with us, you set a perfect frame when you were talking about it. On the call, less so. So maybe just come back to this recording, see how you talked about it, and use that as your frame. I bet it'll work a lot better.
Okay.
Make sense so far?
Yeah, I like that.
Cool. All right. Now I want to point something out to everybody before we get started, before we have too much context on this person. I want you to look at his face. And I want you to tell me what you see specifically when it comes to, like, not necessarily body language, but somebody's face can tell you everything about how they live their life. It's really interesting. If you look at where wrinkles are on somebody's face, you can see the exact faces that they commonly make. And faces are indicators of emotions. So as an example, look here between his eyes, between his eyebrows. Do you see those wrinkles there?
Yeah.
Everybody make a face where you make those wrinkles. What emotion do you usually make that face for?
Skeptical.
What else?
Confused or frustrated.
Okay, potentially, yeah. What else?
Annoyed.
Yeah, what else? Might just be intense focus. You're like really focusing on something.
Yeah.
So when you look at somebody, you can instantly get a read on them by their face. And actually, we all do this subconsciously. But I want you to start thinking about it consciously. When you look at somebody's face, look at their wrinkles. If they have wrinkles between their eyebrows like that, there's a name for that muscle. I forget what it is. It's been a little while. But that typically, people have wrinkles there for those reasons, that they commonly feel those emotions and they commonly make that face. That's why wrinkles exist. If you look at somebody else, maybe they have like the little crow's feet on the outside of their eyes. Can anybody think about why somebody might have wrinkles there? Can you
It's from
try to make
smiling.
wrinkles? Say it again, Vin.
It's from smiling.
Exactly. Your smile lines. You can also see around somebody's mouth and nasal area. If you try to make the wrinkles that somebody has, you can kind of see what face they're making. Like this guy has a lot, like these big old wrinkles on the outside of his mouth leading to his cheeks. It's usually from like pulling the stuff back. Again, like a feeling of disgust or like, I don't agree with what you're saying sort of thing. So you can already see like what type of emotions, what type of viewpoints, what type of mindsets this person is going to take in this interaction by looking at the map of their wrinkles. Does that make sense? Clear so far? So this guy, Al, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine this guy might be a bit of a argumentative guy, might be a bit of a guy who has a tendency to push back on things, might have a tendency to ask questions, might have a tendency to be skeptical, maybe even a bit stoic, probably anti-emotional if I had to guess as well. I don't know. Could be wrong.
Yeah, he didn't show up that way, but I'm sure maybe because he says he's a teacher. For some reason, I got a vibe in the first 30 seconds. I'm like, this guy's probably a teacher.
Nice.
And then he was really smiley. Like he definitely showed up different. Like everything you described is what I, not everything, but like what you described is what I expected. And then when he was showing up the opposite, I was like, what's going on? Like something.
Nice.
But I didn't know how to call it out. It's like
something with wrinkles as well is like it could just be an old version of them, and they could have had some sort of moment recently where they changed everything. It's like maybe they've been frowning for their entire life. And then, like my dad, as an example, he got a heart surgery that basically saved his life. And so he has all these frowny wrinkles and like frustration wrinkles, etc. But he's actually a very happy person now because he had that life change. So anyway, just a fun little bit. I figured you guys might like that.
Find a new skill set or replace your income. Like, how long have you been thinking about that?
I mean, I would say, over like the,
Dan, like for you, I guess, what are you looking to achieve with business acquisition?
I think the biggest thing, like,
very small thing. But when you ask your first main question, again, you're setting the frame for the conversation. Try not to have too many filler words. Unless you've been very friendly and extremely conversational up to this point, try not to have too many filler words. It signals that we're getting down to business. It signals I've done this before. It signals like I'm a professional at this thing and we're getting started, if you will, if you have very few filler words. So just saying, so Dan, for you, what's the biggest thing that you're looking to achieve by getting into business acquisition right now? Right. It's very like straightforward. Here we go. Let's get into it. No fluff.
4 or 5 months, I think like, obviously been researching it out and watching some of the videos and obviously the pre-call video.
Yeah.
The biggest thing right now is I've been an educator for the last 20 plus years and coaching. I would say I've always had a second, third, maybe sometimes fourth job. Just trying to make some ends meet, but also provide for the family and live a healthy lifestyle. So I think the biggest thing, like my goals with this, is trying to find a mentor that could help me transition, whether that's be a transition to career in business, ownership, and obviously eventually replace my teaching income. I think I've kind of hit the top of the scale as far as income. I feel like my skill set has become a little bit stagnant, if you will, and I'm just kind of looking for something that something new, exciting, because I'm always willing to learn and grow, and that's just part of being a teacher, I guess.
All right, let's take a look at that. He just said a bunch of stuff. What stands out to you? Anybody, come off mute. What stands out to you from everything that he just said?
How long he's been feeling stagnant?
Yes,
I'd want to know that.
Good. What else?
I think he's looking to replace his income.
Yep, of course. What else? Let's not necessarily read between the lines, but let's filter the information for a second, because he just gave us a lot. And at the beginning of a conversation, number one, somebody is the most truthful and the most unbiased at the beginning of a conversation versus later in the conversation. But then also number two, we can either take a very roundabout route to what really matters, or we can take a very direct route to what matters. And it all lives in filtering out all the stuff that people say to focus on what really matters. So what really matters to this guy out of everything that he said, what really stands out to you?
I think when he was saying the things that he didn't like, he smiled a little bit harder. And I was like, I think those matter the most because he's trying to cover it up with a smile.
Yeah.
Like stagnant. He's like, I've been stagnant and capped. And then I think he said he's been working 2, 3, 4 jobs to make ends meet.
Yep.
You're going through a lot, man.
Yeah. Anyone else? What else did you see? What else did you hear?
Just something that popped up for me was when he says, like, I'm always open to and willing to learn and grow. I very often that comes up at the end of the call as somebody who's just been searching and doesn't actually take action. Yeah. So eventually challenging, like you've been enjoying learning, but like I'm curious what you've actually done and why we're still even here then.
Very good. Anything else before we continue? This is all spot on.
I would say,
Lewis, I see you talking, but I don't think I couldn't hear you. And then Ruben will go next.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Kind of ties into what Vince is saying, I guess, because he's saying like my biggest goal is to try and find a mentor, but it's like, is trying enough? Like,
Very good. Very good. Ruben?
I would say he's, at least from the conclusion of what he said, he's looking to make a change. Because for the last 20 years, he's been working 2, 3, 4 jobs, hasn't been able to make ends meet. And it seems like he's looking for a change.
Very good. Very good. I think you guys are all spot on. So I would take all of that, and then this is what we call a summary and a mirror, Al. It's a very good habit to get into right after your first main discovery question. Because as you might notice, and I would bet a bunch of you have experienced this before yourself, when you ask your first question, people often just go on a quick little rant, right? So it can be incredibly helpful because, again, remember, people are most honest and most unbiased right at the beginning of the sales call. Like, they will tell you the truth more often than not. Sometimes people are a bit guarded, but when you have somebody like this, they're just going to tell you the truth of what's on their mind when they lay their head on the pillow at night. And you don't have to wait until 15, 20 minutes on the call to get there. Like, they will give it to you right here. Everything that we just said, Al, as a practice for you and everybody else, is pick out those things as they say them and then just put it back to them as a summary. So I'd say something like, okay, so Dan, you have been a teacher for 20 plus years, but in that time, you've always been working multiple jobs in order to try to make ends meet. And you've just been trying to, provide for the family, live a healthy lifestyle. And now you're trying to find a mentor who can help you transition to something else, whether it be a different career, business, ownership, whatever that might be. Is that right? Boom. Fantastic. He will say, yes, that's right. So when he says, yes, that's right, he's giving you confirmation that you're on the same page. Number 2, he's accepting the frame. Number 3, he realizes that you're actually listening and you hear the important parts and you put it all in one thing. So like, you're actively listening. And then number 4, you're also setting the compliance wedge, if you will, of let's just get to what really matters. Let's cut the fluff. Does that make sense? All clear?
Clear.
Summarize and mirror. That's all that it is. We summarize everything that he said, and then we point it as a mirror back to him. Is this accurate? Yes. And then you can dive into these follow-up questions. So let's continue.
How long have you been wanting to find a
Also, last thing that I'll say here before we continue. I know these are a lot of little things. The little things really matter at the beginning of a sales call, even more so than I think at the end. So this is why we're talking about all these little things.
a mentor to help you with either find this new skill set or replace your income? Like, how long have you been thinking about that?
I mean, I would say, over like the last 3 years, I've kind of been in that mindset of trying to look for something new and just didn't know where I wanted to go with the route, and started diving a little bit more into, what are some things that I can do outside of teaching that still has my same skill set. And I don't know. So, seriously, I would say probably the last 4 or 5 months, I've kind of looked at, doing everything from, building your LinkedIn to, find a remote job. What can I do in the meantime to get to where I want to be? And so I guess, more so once I, found Ben Kelly's information. And
did you find Ben Kelly like 4 or 5 months ago, or?
I would say probably about 3 months, and really didn't start talking to him via Messenger.
Okay, let's talk about this. What do we hear so far here? Well, Al asked a great question. How long you been wanting to find a mentor? And then he said all this stuff. What do we hear? What stood out to you? Let me play it again.
I mean, I would say, over like the last 3 years, I've been in that mindset of trying to look for something new and just didn't know where.
Let's stop right there. I'm going to call on people. Let's say, Vince, what'd you hear there?
I mean, if you've been thinking about this for the last 3 years, why is it taking you so long to actually reach out for help or start actually addressing this? Because he said he's been looking for 3 years, but then only 5 months ago, he started to look.
Well, 5 months ago.
Sorry, that was later. I just caught that in when I came back on, but this piece specifically, you've been thinking about this 3 years ago. It took you that long to now finally start looking at a solution. Very
good. Yep. Let's continue now, and then I'm going to call on somebody else. So have your listening ears on, you guys.
I wanted to go with the route and started diving a little bit more into, what are some things that I can do outside of teaching that still has my same skill set.
What'd you hear there, Ruben?
He's looking for something in the same avenue as what he's been doing for the last 20 years.
Very good. Very good. He wants to leverage current skill sets in the new thing. What does that tell you about him? What kind of person is he? What does he prefer? What does he like? What does he not like?
He's not really, he's with the grain. Correct. He's with the grain.
Very good. Very good. He's not looking for a whole transformation from 1.0 to 2.0. He's looking to use 1.0 to get to 1.1 and 1.2, 1.3. It's great. Let's continue.
And I don't know. So, seriously, I would say probably the last 4 or 5 months.
What'd you hear there, Lewis?
Seriously, over the last 4 or 5 months? It's what does that mean? If it's serious, why is it 4 or 5 months? It's quite a long time.
Very good. Like, what does seriously looking mean versus just like what you're doing before?
I also wanted to quickly, like, I'd be curious if something happened 5 months ago that spurred that change on, because that could be a very significant emotional impact piece.
Very good. Very good. Continue.
I looked at, doing everything from, building your LinkedIn to, find a remote job.
Danny, what are you thinking there? He mentions building LinkedIn, finding a remote job.
He's just trying different things to see what will work out.
Yeah. I'd be curious as to why does he mention those specific things? Is that his skill set? Is he like building jobs? Is he good at resumes? Or, I'd wonder. Of course, we'll get into it in the discovery, but just pick it up on these things.
All
right, let's continue.
What can I do in the meantime to get to where I want to be?
Yeah.
And so I guess that, more so once I, found Ben Kelly's information, and I would say probably about 3 months, and really didn't start talking to him via Messenger about a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, but just kind of trying to see what opportunities there are with business acquisitions. So,
And so
what opportunities there are with business acquisitions. What do you hear there? Just trying to see what opportunities there are with business acquisitions.
He doesn't 100% sold on the vehicle.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Or at least not very educated on what opportunities there are with business acquisitions. Ideal prospects would probably come in saying, I saw all these opportunities with business acquisitions. I know how lucrative it can be, versus what opportunities there are.
I have the sense from this guy, and Al, I'm not sure how the call went, is that for how long he's been working so hard and all the things, like the vehicle actually doesn't really matter. It's just the freedom that he's really going to be wanting, because he seems like he's been kind of all over the place with his searching as well.
Yeah, you guys are all spot on. So he's looking for remote. We find out he's looking for remote, something similar in his ballpark, like in his skill set, where you just said Vince, because I find out him and his wife are moving. They're putting their house on the market next week after they sell it, and within 2 months before school starts, they're moving to Florida. They're in Minnesota. So yeah, what happened 5 months ago is that him and his wife decided, let's be more healthy in a place that's sunny so we can have more family time. And yeah. So all of you guys are spot on as to like why he's saying all these little things.
Amazing. Let's continue.
But just kind of trying to see.
And so now we're here. It sounds like it's been quite a journey. So like, what would you say happened 3 years ago that had you being like, I need to find something different?
Very good.
I don't know if it was like,
I don't know if there wasn't an event or anything like that, but
one little, very tiny thing, but I see this in like 90% of closers, I'll say, is that people will ask that exact same question that you did. It's a good question, genuinely. Like, what happened at that point? It's just add one little question beforehand, and it'll make your next question land so much better. Instead of just asking what happened, ask beforehand, did something happen? Rather than assuming something happened. It's a very small shift, but it does big things, because let's say we ask, did something happen 3 years ago when you started looking for a mentor? Let's say they say yes. Okay, what happened? Or let's say they say no. It's like, okay, then what changed? Why did you start looking for a mentor? Like, it's a yes either way. Rather than saying what happened and them responding, well, nothing really happened, but it's a different energy. Does that make sense? Very small shift, but it does make a big difference. So everybody who's here, just remember that little easy, tiny little nugget. If you ever ask what happened, just preview it with, did something happen? And even if they say no, nothing happened, you can just follow it up with, well, what changed at that time that had you start looking for a mentor? Because something did.
Would you say you would apply that same logic to when I do this sometimes? Like, okay, so what is the problem? Because what you've described sounds good. Like if I can't get a real problem, would you use that same logic? Like, did something happen?
Not necessarily, because people don't generally like to say that there was a problem.
Yeah, they don't.
In that word, especially, like people don't like to say that's a problem. It's a very, very against the grain type of way of saying that. So not necessarily.
Okay.
just kind of basically,
If it was like,
I don't know,
I don't know if
there wasn't
it
an event or anything like that, but
was a stack of reasons like that.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've always, either taught or coached sports. Physical education teacher. I've done teaching with kids with disabilities, and I find it really rewarding.
Yeah.
But I also find it, like I said, kind of alluded to, stagnant. And I think about a few years ago, I kind of transitioned into,
I probably would have just paused him right there and interrupted. I'd say, well, what do you mean stagnant? Just because he's about to go on a bit of a ramble here. You can tell he's about to like tell you a story, which could be helpful, but you can come back to that. It's like, well, what do you mean by stagnant? And it's like, oh, well, I feel like I've just been in the same place for a while. It's like, okay, you were about to tell a story or tell me about how you got into it. You can always come back to it, but you may save yourself some time by just, as soon as I say some sort of buzzword, I alluded to stagnant a minute ago. Well, what did you mean when you said that? Like, what does stagnant mean? You may continue on with the story anyway, because it's hyper relevant, or the story might not be relevant at all and he just gets straight to the point.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll probably save you some time.
but that's kind of caught my interest. So
Yeah. No, it's a blessing that you just took that on.
Okay, here we go.
Like I said, kind of alluded to, stagnant. And I think about a few years ago, I kind of transitioned into, for one of my second jobs, I was coaching sports and coaching high school and college basketball and coaching high school baseball, and a lot of fun, but I have 4 kids, and so that took a lot of time away from my kids. And so about 3 years ago, it was time to put my energy more into my kids than coaching other people's kids. And I kind of found
what are we thinking, chat? What are we thinking from what he just said? 4 kids, and so that took a little bit of time away from my kids coaching high school basketball. About 3 years ago, it was time to put my energy more into my kids rather than coaching other people's kids.
I said a couple minutes ago, he has had to have multiple jobs to keep up, to pay for ends meet, and here.
What about the question that you just asked? Remember the last question that you asked in this call?
Yeah.
Notice he's talking about all of this, and he's not really talking about what actually happened. He just said that he transitioned from coaching basketball to his kids. But like, what happened? What changed? Does that make sense?
I see where you're getting.
I would just ask right there. It's like, well, did something happen? What changed to decide to stop coaching basketball and put more energy into?
Bet you the spouse objection would come up then, or at least the spouse would come into the picture. There's a good potential.
Yeah, probably starting to talk about family a little bit, but we're on the right track. Let's continue.
And so about 3 years ago, it was time to put my energy more into my kids than coaching other people's kids. And
maybe his kids just got to a certain age and he just wanted to spend time with them because he realized they were growing up or something.
I kind of found, I had a volunteer role coaching or as a program director with youth sports in our town, and kind of found managing people, managing volunteers, managing just kind of basically its own business, running this program with 300 kids in our program, and just trying to do everything, and it just kind of caught my interest a little bit. Like, there's something else I can do besides teaching, but that's kind of caught my interest. So
no, it's a blessing that you just took that on. Why did you take that on?
I think a couple things. I think selfishly, I stepped away from coaching high school basketball.
Yeah.
I need something to fill my time, and my kids were doing that. But at the same time, this was helping my kids out, right, in the community that I live in.
Okay.
And so I also
were your kids part of that program as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have one's in high school now, but I've had 3 go through this traveling program over the last 5 years, and one that's about to hit there. And so I think selfishly just trying to make a great experience for everybody, and I've had that experience coaching at the high school level and building youth programs through that. So I think wanting to do that for my own kids was maybe a selfish reason, but also a service reason. So I like to see things through. Like, I like to see things that start from the beginning and see it all the way through. And
I like to see things through. Sounds familiar to an objection that apparently came up later as well, right?
Yeah.
Little antenna perk up whenever somebody says, I like blank, and it's like a big principle of life. Like, I like to see things through. Might come up later, might not.
I'm sure you found good, bad, ugly, and
I like to see things through. Like, I like to see things that start from the beginning and see it all the way through. And not really. I'm a process guy, being a teacher, and so really understanding.
Another thing, he massively just took on an identity right there. I'm a process guy. Literally just stated out loud his identity. So for all you identity selling freaks here, tweakers, It's gold.
I mean, what the, not really, I'm a process guy being a teacher. And so, really understanding what the, the small steps that take to get that goal that you want. And so
there's like a lot of people that I talk to.
Okay, I'll pause there. I see the compliment coming. Very good. What do we see there? I see two big beliefs that I want to hear what you think about them. Belief number one, I like to see things through. And number two, I'm a process guy. What do you think? What comes to mind? What's your spidey sense tell you? What do you hear?
Well, I think firstly, the belief that is present is that taking time to process things is the right way to go about it. Like it's going to get him the result that he wants.
Yeah.
And up until today, it's the only way.
Yeah, potentially. What else?
Sounds like he's loyal. Like he's
very good. Yeah, I would agree. What else? Anything else? Do you guys remember the adaptive selling training that we did? Do you remember the 4 types? And can you spot which one or maybe 2 this guy is?
Is it Stillwater? Is that one of them?
Yep. Stillwater is definitely one of them. Yeah, somebody who just wants things to be stable, easy, comfortable, secure. And what's the last one? Do you remember? Process guy.
Keystone?
Yes. Keystone. Bingo, bingo, bingo. So we had Ironclad, Emberheart, Stillwater, and Keystone. Stillwater is exactly what it sounds like. Like they really just want everything to be like a still morning lake, peaceful, a little more introverted, not a bunch of people around, that sort of thing. And then Keystone, somebody who wants to know how everything works. Like when he says that he's a process guy, immediately in my head, I'm like, he likes to know how things work. He likes to know how they fit together. Do you guys start to see how to sell this guy at this point? What are the big belief systems that we need to hit? And like, how do we actually sell this guy? I'm going to pop it in the chat as we say things. I'll give you one of the first ones. If we want to work with him, let's say, first of all, he's a with the grain type of prospect, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk through belief systems. What does he believe about time or money or effort or success or how life works?
That it takes time and hard work, effort.
Good. Hard work. What else?
It's got to go A through Z. Like you can't just like jump from A to J. It's got to be step by step.
Don't skip steps. That's what I put in the chat. What else? What about the bit that he said about when he's volunteering? Why would somebody volunteer?
Yeah, he was straight up that he did say it's a service to the community. And taking care of others.
Taking care of others.
I feel like in a lot of ways, there's almost the belief of like through these things, success takes time and hard work, service to community, taking care of others. It's almost as if he holds the belief that like life is almost like going to continue to be hard. Like that's just life the way it is.
Good. Very good. Very good.
He needs to know what's the vehicle that can get him to success. That this vehicle is going to give him success. Absolutely. He needs to be absolutely sure.
Good. I'm going to put like in quotes. I need to be absolutely sure. I need to be absolutely certain. Very good. What else?
When I was on the call with him, I never felt like he believed in himself.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got that, but I didn't get that.
That one's a very deep one, but yeah, I can imagine. I don't know that I've seen anything that would like conclusively tell me that so far in the call, but I'll trust you on that one. I believe it.
What makes you feel that way, Aldo? Like what came up?
Nice.
When people are trying for so many years and they've been trying to get out of their situation and they have all the knowledge they've been studying and he just doesn't take that leap to do it. He doesn't believe in himself to actually take that leap and succeed.
What about time? Is he short-term time-oriented or long-term time-oriented?
Short-term.
Short.
What makes you say that?
I think just up until now, he's just looked at what he needs to do immediately to make shit work. He hasn't actually thought about the long term.
Okay.
Like he started thinking about things 3 years ago, as opposed to in that time thinking, hey, what do I need to do so my life is different 5 years from now?
Yeah, potentially. I think you're on the right track, but I would say it's the opposite. He's not short-term time-oriented. He is focused on the long term, but he's more focused on the long term backwards than he is forwards. that make sense? Like he's got so much sunk cost in being in his position that he's been in for 20 years that like that's the long term that he's focused on rather than long term future. So I think you're on the right page. Just maybe a difference in how we're defining it, which is fine. I'm going to put long term oriented past in here. Cool. Let's just take this because we got 2 minutes and I got to bounce. With these things that I've put in the chat, we said he's with the grain. Success takes time and hard work. Don't skip steps. Service to community and taking care of other people. Life is hard. I need to be absolutely sure. I don't believe in me. Long-term oriented towards the past. Do you see how to sell this guy? When I say sell, I mean like help him, just help him. We'll say that. I won't even say help him to do anything. With the grain. With the grain type of people like to start small. They like to take their time. They like to have a lot of certainty before they move into something. So as we frame everything within the program, as we talk about his past and all that kind of fun stuff, we're going to introduce all of that stuff. So like, let's say that he doesn't want to make a decision on the call. We talk about how long he's been delaying this decision. The decision isn't about whether to get into business or business acquisition or not. The decision is to get out of what he's been doing that he's been unhappy with for the past 20 years. You know, like that's a long time. It's no longer a quick decision. It's been a while. Or even starting small, like just getting some education is the first step. Like as an educator, you know, just getting education is the first step. It doesn't mean that you are going and becoming a doctor. You're just going to med school for the first week and you can like quit after the first semester. It's a small step. It's not like you're uprooting your entire life and moving to Florida. That's a big step, you know, making the thing feel small. Let's look at the next one. Success takes time and hard work. I don't know that that's necessarily an incorrect belief. So I would probably affirm that in the call. Say like, yeah, you're right. Success does take time and hard work. Don't skip steps. Again, generally a fairly good belief. But again, who decides what steps are the correct steps or not? Everybody on this earth is just figuring this shit out as we go. So how do you know what works and what doesn't? What's a required step and what's just extra? You know, there are such things as shortcuts. Service to community and taking care of others. I'd nail that down hard for sure. That's a big old life value of wanting to contribute to the world around you. As a teacher, he probably feels like he is contributing to the world around him, and he's been doing that for a while. It's great. It's probably part of why he continues to teach. However, he could probably also contribute a lot if he's able to actually be happy day to day. If he's able to maybe have a little bit more money as well. He's able to support his family, like contribute to the people that realistically probably need you the most. Life is hard. We could keep this one. I would probably flip it. This is one of those beliefs that I would probably want to shift. Life is not hard. Life is only hard if you make it hard. Life is only hard if you believe it's hard.
How do you get them to shift that?
Yeah, it's a big one. That's probably one that will come up. He hasn't necessarily said it, so be careful of it. I don't believe in me, same sort of thing. Long-term oriented towards the past. I, again, probably want to shift that to the future. Doesn't matter what you did in the past, genuinely. Life is now, as Patrick Jones says, right? Life is now. So we need to be focused on, okay, what's happening right now? Are you happy with it or are you not? And if you're not, what are you going to do to change it? Or do you want to just continue that for the rest of your life like you have for the past 20 years? Make sense? So like as we list out these beliefs, we can see which ones, quote unquote, good, which ones we agree with, and then which ones we don't agree with. And the ones that we don't agree with, again, our job is not to push them onto other people. Our job is to simply be true to ourselves. And if you believe that somebody else is doing something that is wrong or not serving them, and you believe and you genuinely want to help people, then you're probably going to bring it up. If you don't, then you probably won't. That's what sales is at the end of the day.
Now, if you're in sales and your income goes up and down like a fucking roller coaster every single month, and it feels like a casino, like you never really know what you're going to make next month, and that anxiety, that stress just gets you, I get that. I have lived that in my entire first year in my career in sales. And I struggled until I figured out that the one skill that I really needed to be successful at sales was adapting my communication in my process to each individual prospect that I ever spoke to. But that took me years and over $1 million invested into coaching and mentorships and learning in order to even figure that out and fully learn it and actually master it. You see, I learned that most average salespeople sell the same exact way to every single person, but the ones who are really successful, the ones who make 30, 40, 50K every month for years on end, actually adapt their process to understand the person who's in front of them and sell to them the way that they want to be sold to. They simply read the person in front of them, they understand how that person thinks, how they buy, how they make decisions, and what they need to hear in order to do so. And they just simply adapt, and it works every single time. That is what we call adaptive selling, and that is a skill that turns every cold lead into a closed deal. And once I figured that out, I kid you not, my income skyrocketed. It doubled month over month for the next year straight. And that skill is why I created the Black Belt Closer. Here's what some of my students have done with this exact approach. Ahmet went from inconsistent 5K months to over $30,000 in just 20 days of working for a month. Joe went from 10K a month as his top month as a closer to consistently making 30K a month for the next year straight, and then becoming a sales coach and making 80 grand the very next month. Oscar went from inconsistent 5, 6, 7K months, even his top month was a 10K month, to consistent 20K months and even a $32,000 commission month on the way. That was the biggest income month of his entire life. And one of his best friends, Brody, who also signed up, went from, he was doing anywhere between 5 to 15K a month consistently to 25K a month consistently, and his top month being $29.3 thousand in commissions. And he even made upwards of $9,000 in commissions in a single day. Velko is another example. He consistently makes $45,000 to $50,000 every single month and has been for almost the past year. Ethan, same thing. He started with zero sales experience. He was brand new and he went from $0 to $20,000 a month consistently in just a year. And Vince made over $12,300 in commissions in his very first month as a closer, even as a brand new beginner. Renee went from closer to sales manager and even sales director, hitting 20 to 30K months consistently for 6 to 12 months. And these guys and the thousands more that I've coached on this exact adaptive selling system prove that it works. And once you learn it, you can finally stop hoping that the right person just magically shows up on your call, hoping the right person is fed to you like a baby bird from marketing, which, let's be real, can go up and down every single month. You never know what the fuck's gonna happen there. And you can start adapting your process in a way that you know for a fact will work for every single person that you call, every single person that shows up on your meetings, and finally start making consistent money in sales every single month, month after month, year after year, like clockwork. And you can do it no matter what offer you're on, no matter what happens with marketing, and without even having to change your selling style that you're used to, that you've paid thousands of dollars to learn and probably thousands of hours to practice. The freedom that you got into sales for is finally here. Click the link down in the description below in order to see if Black Belt Closer is the right fit for you.